Hello students, this is a brief video on how to access and use your online textbook. Now the class itself revolves all around your textbook. Anything and almost everything that is in the class I have taken straight from the textbook, whether it's concept questions or the plug and chug practice questions where we use a little bit of math. Even the misconception questions that you might face in a lot of the journals will come from your textbook. So using your textbook will actually save you time. I know a lot of students aren't used to or like reading a textbook, but it's a good habit to have, especially if you're planning on going into any type of post-secondary or college classes. Most of them will have some type of textbook reading or something else for you to do as far as accessing problems and practicing in order to study for a test. So you need to use your textbook. It will save you time in the long run. It may not sound like it, but the students that have used the textbook and given me feedback have said that it saves them a lot more time versus trying to find some type of learning material on the internet instead. So just a heads up, you do want to use your textbook, and I'm going to show you a couple tricks of the trade as we log in. Now keep in mind, when I log into my textbook, I do have the teacher access, so it's going to look a little bit different from yours. However, you will have a bookshelf where you can access your online textbook for physics. So this is the website that you will go to, and make sure you're using Mozilla Firefox because most of the textbooks do run on Adobe. So we need to make sure we're using Firefox as our browser. And if you click on Login, it'll bring you to your sign-in page. Each student is given their login information. It should be the same as what you use to log into your classes. Mine's a little bit different. I have to use my email. But again, you should be able to use that username and password to get into your textbook. So if we type that in and we hit sign in, it'll load for a short period of time. And then mine has my teacher resources, but most students will have what's called a bookshelf. And you'll have whatever books that we use as far as Minos that use Pearson SuccessNet on your bookshelf. Now with physics, you're going to look for a book that looks like this. It's going to be called Conceptual Physics. It's white and it has a roller coaster on it. And I have the option of using the student edition because obviously I have access to the teacher edition. But you'll have something kind of similar to this where you can click to open the textbook. So we would click on that to open. And then it'll come up with something where it says to launch the iText, click here. So we want to click on this link. And then it'll pop up to something like this. And sometimes students see this and they don't know what to do. And that's why this video is going to kind of help with plug-in issues you might face as well as anything else. Now, if you didn't see your physics textbook on your bookshelf, you need to email me or text me right away so I can check and see what's going on. If you have any other issues accessing your textbook, I need to know right away. Telling me at the end of the quarter you were unable to access your textbook all quarter will not exempt you or excuse you from assignments. So you need to make sure that you're checking this right away. Now if you run into a screen that looks like this, all you need to do is click on Run Adobe Flash or click on the center of the screen. And it'll ask you if you want to allow Adobe Flash to run. And you'll hit Allow, and sometimes you can hit Remember. And I don't do that just because I have to make these videos every so often. So I hit Allow. And that'll give the plugin the ability to run and load the online textbook for you. When the textbook loads, it'll look something like this, where you have your front page, you have a scroll bar, you have the ability to add page numbers here, you have a zoom in and a zoom out option, and then you have the option to see a double page view or a single page view. Right now we're on a single page view, but if you want a double page view, you can click on this icon and it'll bring you to something like this. The other thing that we need to know about is the contents. So if we click on the contents, it has it separated out in physics into the specific categories that we're learning about. Now with Physics B, we're actually learning about temperature, heat, and expansion. We can start with properties of matter though, because that's going to be the review. But most of part 1 is going to be temperature, heat, and expansion, and then we start learning a little bit about waves. So if we talk about properties of matter, we're going to click on that and it's going to open to the chapter options that we have. So we have chapter 17, 18, 19, 20 within the properties of matter unit. And then we have temperature, heat, and expansion, and it'll keep moving through and keep moving through. And then you also have access to what's called the glossary, which is where you will find your vocabulary words and their definitions. You have an index, and then the appendices are usually in the back of the book. So this is just kind of a brief idea of how to use this. Now there's a couple of things that I do want to show you. So I'm going to go into chapter 18. And again, you have your double view. Now if it's hard for you to read, I do recommend clicking the single page view. And that'll set it up to where it's a little larger print for you if you need it. Now the one thing I do want to show you is that at the end of the chapters, as we keep moving pages with this arrow, we can move forward a page at a time. And as we get to the end of the chapter, there are some concept summaries, which is really good to review the key pieces to each chapter. There's answers to the questions within the chapter right here. You have your key terms. And then if we keep moving, we'll get into what's called concept questions as well as practice questions. Now, remember when I said that I pull most of my questions, especially concept questions and practice questions, from the textbook? This is where you can find them in your textbook, and you actually have the option to hit the hint button for some of them. And it can load a hint bringing you to the page of the book that you would need to refer to or read in order to get the answer. So that's why I say quite often I recommend using the textbook not just for reading and learning, but for also using it to help you with your concept questions, to help you with your practice problems. Because in the end, it is going to save you a lot of time. And then you do have the option to print pages as well right here. And then there is a screen reader option as well if that's something that you prefer. So now for the assignment that you're going to be doing in the Getting Started folder, so I know that you have accessed your online textbook, I want you to go to your Contents tab. And then I want you to find one of the units that interests you and find a specific chapter. If you have a specific section, like say 33.1 electric fields, you can click on that and actually use that for your assignment. Now, most of students won't click about science or chapter 1, so I'm going to use this as an example. But what I am requesting of you is to find the section or the chapter you're interested in and take a screenshot of that using your computer. Again, you can use the print screen tab on your keyboard. There's the snipping tool for most Windows computers, and then the Macs have their own screenshot option as well. And the link for the how to screenshot through Minos is also within the document that you will put your screenshot into and answer a couple questions. So again, make sure if you can't access your textbook, you let me know as soon as possible, whether you email or text me. And then if you need any help when it comes to using your textbook, please let me know. Otherwise, good luck with this assignment and keep moving forward.